So in this video, I'm going to give you a cheat of remembering the order of fill for electron configurations using your periodic table. So what we do to use the periodic table is we actually are going to divide it up into 4 different sections. So the first section is this right here. And it's kind of odd, but it includes helium over here too. And that we call the S block. And then over here, we have this box of elements, and we call that the P block. Then I have this middle box right here, and we call that the D block. And then the very bottom down here is the F, and these correlate to the sublevels, right? Now, we're going to number each column. So this column right here is going to be S1, and this is going to be S2. And remember, this is S2 over here because helium kind of follows that. And then we got our P's, and we're going to have P1, P2, P3. Sorry, this should be like a superscript. And then P4 and P5 and P6. And then we're going to have our D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6, D7, D8, D9, and D10. So notice that the number of columns correlates to the electron number. So this one is F1 all the way through. I'm just going to write F14 here. Okay? Now, the next thing that we need to do is number the rows. Okay? So each row will say, we've got this row is row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And if we look at our cheat sheets, right, we're going to look and we're going to see, so the one that I've been giving to you, every time we go from a 3S, 3P, before we get to the 3D, we end up going to the 4S. So it's like the D's are one step behind. And then you'll notice when we get to the sixth column, the F's are 2 steps behind. So where we have the rows that have D's, we're going to number them 1 step behind. So this is 4, 5, 6, and 7. So the D's will actually be 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then the F's are 2 steps behind. And if you notice, this is 58 and 90 right here. You might not be able to see that. Let me just zoom in really quick. Right? So this is 58 and 90. So they really kind of go right in here. They've been pulled out so that it'll fit on the sheet. So instead of being 6 and 7, they're 2 behind, they're 4, and they're 5. Okay? Now, that's all the information that we need to know. So we need to be able to label the blocks, we need to be able to label the columns, and then appropriately label the rows. Now, the S and the P rows are the same. The D's are just 1 behind, and the F's are 2 behind. So let's go ahead and just use this cheat to do the electron configuration for the ones that I did in the last video, right? So I did fluorine, remember, and I did bromine, and I did calcium. I'm actually going to go ahead and do I know it's hard to see, I'm going to do lead, just so you can see one that goes through the F block. So I'm going to do those 3. So just sort of keep your eye on the periodic table. I'll zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to write the electron configuration down here underneath it. Let's zoom up just a little bit. All right? So I want to do fluorine. So what I do is I start with the first row, and I just work my way across. So I start here, and I have row 1, and it goes all the way through the S2s. So for fluorine, I've got 1 S2. Then I go to the second column, and I'm going to go all the way through the 2 S's, so that'll be 2S2. And then I go across, so I don't have any D's here, so I go all the way over, and now I'm at my P's, and I go P1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2P5. That is the electron configuration for fluorine. All right, let's do another one. So let's do it a little bit more. Let's do bromine. Okay, so bromine, I start and I work my way across. So I go 1s2. And then I go to column 2 and I work my way across, 2s2. And then I go over here and I'm at 2p filled all the way up to 6. Then I go down to my next row and I'm at the 3, so 3s2. And these aren't, remember, this is just my heading, so I go from 3s to 3p over here. So 3p6. And then I go to my fourth row and I do 4s2. And then I run into my D block, but remember the D block is behind by 1, so I'm going to have 3 and then filled all the way to D10. And then we go over to bromine, so again I'm back at row 4 because the P's and the S's are the same, so it would be 4p5. Okay, so let's do one with for lead, going through the F block. And again, this might take a little bit to get used to, but once you do it a few times on your own, it'll be easy to see. All right, so I'm going to start at the top. So 1s2, 2s2, then I go across 2p6, and then down to row 3, 3s2, and then skip over here to 3p6, and then 4s2, and then I get to the D block, it's behind by 1, so it'll be 3d10, and then back to the P's, so the P's should be in the right row, so 4p6, and then next column I've got 5, I'm in column S, row S, and do 5s2, and then the D's are behind by 1, so 4d10, and then back up to 5, I'm going to do 5p6, and now I'm in row 6, so 6s2, I'm going to write it down here to continue. Now I get right here, and when I'm right in here, that's when I jump down to the F's. So now I'm going to do the first column. It's like the first column of F's are right in there. So we're going to go all the way through the F's. So that'll be 4F14. And then I'm going to go, remember it's behind by 2, so that's why I went from 6 to 4. Now I'm back up here in the D block, and I'm in the 5th row, so I'm going to do 5D10. And then I get here, and there's lead, and it's going to be the 6th row, because P's are right on P, and in the second column, 2. Alright, so it might take a little bit of practice getting used to this periodic table cheat, but once you've figured it out, then you won't have to have the order of fill, and you won't have the order of fill on your test.